What up, YouTube? It's your boy Grizz. I'm back again. Um, I was only gonna upload one video today, but I was doing some testing and I noticed something that's quite important. That people really don't give enough credit to, and that's the sideboard. Um, the sideboard is probably the most important part of your deck. It's 15 cards that aren't in your main board, but they can impact whether you win or lose a tournament or how far you go in an event based on what you see. That's why a lot of decks are considered rogue decks, or some decks that are good never really break because they don't have a sideboard that really complements the deck. You look at Dragons right now. Dragon's main board is busted, but its sideboard is what gets it through the rest of the games, because people playing Dinos and Royal Decree pretty much try to lock down Dragons. You go Dino Royal Decree, you can't return, you can't Raigeki break. All you got is MST. You hope well, they'll probably draw it, but they had to decide something out to put the MSTs in the first place. So without a sideboard, the decks that are topping wouldn't stay where they are. Let's talk about sideboarding options for this format. I don't have my cards with me because I'm at work. Well, I'm at the desk. I'm not really at. Anyway, we look at sideboarding options. This format, Manny's Emptiness is obviously a big main sideboard option. But it only complements certain decks. If you're playing Karakuri and you can't go off and you set an Emptiness and activate it, your opponent has no incentive to destroy it because you sit there and they can beat you to death. Or you summon a monster that's easy to run over, and Emptiness does you no good. On the flip side of that, if you're a player who knows how to use Emptiness, you'll go off into your combo, you'll set Emptiness, and then you'll win the game. It's a really good sideboard. Most decks you see now, side Shadow, Lightning Prisoner, Mirror, mostly to deal with the Blackwing and Boozer matchup. Dark Worlds really aren't where they used to be. They still don't have the speed to keep up with a lot of things. They can turbo through a deck but not do... It's like drawing a lot of cards for no reason. They do better playing Exodia at this point in time, to be quite honest. They don't really have enough. They have speed but nothing to really back it up. One Eradicator going to one definitely hurt. Crush Card not being legal will always hurt. If they ever get Crush Card, then that deck is probably goes from 1.5 tiers to 2. Tier 1 really, because Crush Card is people play Pete in the Dark Clown for something. Who cares? But the sideboard, sorry about that tangent, but the sideboard itself is ridiculous. You see people siding, and it's so different for every player. You'll never see people who top the event have the exact same sideboard. There's always something that their buddies or something that they thought of at the last minute. You'll hear a lot of people who top recently go, well, we just had to throw this in the sideboard at the last minute because we really didn't know what else to side. And it turns out that card was the best card for them in their sideboard for the day. Also, I'm going to talk about some things that I think should be in the sideboard. Some of these cards are old school, and you don't know what they do, but I know, like every card I'm going to talk about by memory. You can go look it up later if you want to know what they are. For me, one card is non-aggression area. So for people who don't know what non-aggression area does, it's a trap. It's a normal trap. You have to set it. You have to activate it during your standby phase. That's the downside. But then it says flip. It says activate this card during your standby phase. Discard one card from your hand. Your opponent can't play monsters the next turn. So if you manage to play Dragons, and get the card off, I mean, they're not. If you play enough back row, you're gonna get the card off. You get it off, and you do little damage to Dragons, then they can't play a monster. They can use all the effects they want to. They can't get really any real pluses off of it, and they sit there, and you can basically beat them to sleep for the rest of the game. It was a really popular card when Cold Wave was still legal, because you could go standby phase, non-aggression, main phase, cold wave. Your opponent can't play monsters or set spells or traps, and all you can do, and then you can just beat them to sleep for 2 turns, and they can't do anything about it. Another side deck card that I think is really good right now that I've seen people play is Raigeki Break in the sideboard is really good. I like it in the main board for certain decks. I really think Madolche should play it in the main board because they have a lot of OTK potential, but they don't have enough stuff to get the cards to the graveyard when they need it. They just need a Madolche card. So they have a dead Palooza or a dead, something dead in their hand that's Madolche, so you can get your Tiramisu off. Because ticket Tiramisu equals game. That's essentially how that works for them. A couple other cards, Decree. I just made a video. I'll see if I can link to the description. But I just made a video about Decree versus Jinzo in the sideboard. 2 very viable cards in my opinion. They've done a whole lot of traps, but they still hurt. You also have to look at side decking options for dragons. Electric Virus isn't as popular as it should be, honestly. Me personally, it's been an MVP card in my sideboard, especially when dealing with dragons. Threatening Roar is a main deck card for me, and it works out. That 1 extra turn against dragons, that 1 extra turn can be the difference between you winning and losing. Threatening or Electric Virus versus dragons means you essentially win the game. Your opponent returns. They declare their battle phase. You can Threatening Roar. It stalls the return play for a turn. It's better than dealing with having to deal with Swift Scarecrow, who you can stop. I honestly prefer Battle Fader over Swift Scarecrow. A lot of people don't like Battle Fader because he takes up that extra space on your board. But 1 space versus no turns of living to me is way better. Wing Blast is a good card pending on your deck. You can deal with stubborn cards like Dracossack. You can stop Pallades before he ever hits the board. And set your opponent back a turn. Razo Wing Blast is a really good combo for Frogmans, mostly because it's chainable, and if you set it, there's no downside to it. You're just discarding something you don't need anyway. Yeah, but tell me what you guys think that belongs in the sideboard. Then maybe you see that's in the sideboard that I didn't mention. Something that should be in the sideboard that you think people should play, or something in the sideboard that you think is absolute BS and should never be in the sideboard. Give your opinions, man. Rate, comment, subscribe. As always, I'll be hitting you up with more videos as they come to me. Keep watching my channel. Keep loving Grizz. Keep doing what you're doing. Well, actually do more than what you're doing because no one's commenting. But it's your boy Grizz signing out.